Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome us to today's tutorials with Eze Sunday on how to write project or research report. We are in lecture 4. If you are just joining us, do well as to watch our lecture 1, our lecture 2, our lecture 3 before going through this lecture 4. Today, we will be looking at what we have here in our specific objective, that at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to describe the parts of a research project report, and also the student should be able to prepare a research proposal. So let's begin. Research project report. The research project report is a documentation of the completed investigation done by a researcher in finding answers to a gap identified. It is usually presented following a particular format. What is this long English trying to tell us? The English trying to tell us that when we talk about research project is just all about a documentation. That's writing out all the processes that a researcher went through in order to carry out an investigation over a problem, and then how he was able to go through it and even find his answers to that unanswered question that he was trying to solve. The format varies from place to place and from discipline to discipline. But the format I will be presenting to you here is chosen due to its wide usage amongst students. Majority of undergraduate students love using this particular format. That is why I chose it. Essentially, a research project comprises of 3 major parts, namely preliminaries, main body, and appendices. So let's look at the preliminaries. The preliminaries is made up of the title page, approval page, acknowledgement, table of content, list of tables, list of figures, then abstract. What do we mean by all these things I listed here? The title page is that page that contains the name of the researcher, the name of school, department, faculty, the name of the researcher, and down the name of the supervisor and the year. Then the approval page is a page that contains where the researcher will sign, the supervisor will sign, and also the dean of the faculty or the HOD will sign. Then the acknowledgement page, in acknowledgement page, that is where the researcher gives appreciation to anybody he feels has been helpful in the writing of the project. Most times they will start with appreciation to God. After appreciation to God, they will appreciate their supervisor, the HOD, the lecturers that helped them out in the project, their family members and friends. So that is the acknowledgement. Then the table of contents contains the arrangement of how the project was arranged. It covers everything. It helps anybody who is going to read your work to be able to understand where he can be able to find a particular thing. Let's say, for example, I want to check your chapter 3. From the table of contents, I can see where I can get chapter 3. So table of content is added into a research preliminary in order to make the searching of a particular item to be very easy. Then the next one is the list of tables. What do we have in the list of tables? The things we have in the list of tables are all those tables that you must have drawn while you were running your analysis, or let me say when you are interpreting your analysis. After you have done your analysis, you draw some tables, and those tables are what you interpreted. So those tables you drew in your chapter 4, you are going to list them out under the list of tables. Then we have list of figures. Then let's say you run a descriptive study that involves histogram, bar chart, and so on, and you drew all these histogram and bar chart, and then you name it with figure 1, figure 2, figure 3, and so on. So under this list of figures, you will enter all of them. Then the next one, which is the last one in the preliminary, is the abstract. The abstract is a concise summary of everything you did in your work. Abstract is arranged in such a way that once one read the abstract, he has already gotten every single information he needs to get regarding your project. An abstract should not be more than a page. So let's look at the main body. The main body is the major report of the project. The materials of this section are usually arranged in 5 chapters as follows. We have the chapter 1, which is the introduction. We have the chapter 2, which is review of literature. We have the chapter 3, which is research methodology. We have chapter 4, which is our result. Then we have our chapter 5, which is discussion, conclusion, implications, recommendations, and summary. Then after we are done with that, we now have the references or bibliography. The references are the list of all the authors you cited in your work while having your discussion in chapter 1, in chapter 2, and so on. All those persons you quoted their work are the people you are going to list down in references. And majority of persons in education and social sciences usually make use of the APA 6th edition style in writing references. So that is it about the main body. Then the appendices, which is the third part. This is the last part of the project report. It consists of all materials that are related to the report and which may be referred to for a greater details, but which are not suitable for inclusion in the main body of the report. Such materials include the instruments used for data collection, calculations, raw data, letters of introduction, and so on. What are we trying to say here? The appendix is a list of all those things you made use of in running your project. So all these materials, all these instruments you use in order to collect your data, at the end of your work, if it's a questionnaire, you add the questionnaire in your appendix. Then apart from the questionnaire or the achievement test and so on, apart from those instruments for data collection, you also add your calculations. That's those calculations you did, those data analysis calculations that you did, you add it. And then raw data. The raw data here now has to do with the data of the student, that's the population. You said, for example, let's say when you are in your chapter 3, when you are writing your chapter 3, you said that the population of that area you are using for your study, let's say, for example, you are using a school, and you now say that the population of public schools in Zango Kataf local government of Kaduna State is 5,000 students. And then you went to the PPSMB and collected the raw data of these students. So that raw data you collected from the PPSMB, that's the education board, you will also add it in your appendix. Then also letters of introduction. The letters of introduction here are those letters you wrote, letters of validation when they were to validate your instrument, the letter you wrote to schools where you went and collect your data, or to the places you went and collect your data. All those letters, you add them in your appendices. So that is it. These are the things we see in our appendix. Then now the next thing I'm going to put us through again is how to write a research proposal. A proposal is a report of an intended research project. Proposals are made by researchers and submitted to donors and funding agencies to solicit funds for the execution of the research project. Donor or funding agencies usually require detailed proposals before they can offer grants to researchers. The purpose of this proposal is to secure funds for an intended research project, and such it is accompanied by a detailed project. But for the focus of this lesson, another type of proposal involves students to submit a proposal to his or her supervisor or department, or even to the faculty at the end of his or her program. And if you go to some department, what they do is proposal. If you go to some department, what they do is project defense. A full project defense, you will do your work from chapter 1 to the last chapter, while in proposal, you are only doing chapter 1 to chapter 3. Are you getting me? You're only doing from chapter 1 to chapter 3. Such proposal attract input from the student supervisor and or other faculty members that will assist the concerned students improve on the investigation. All this long English we are saying here is that a research proposal is an intended research proposal. That means in a research proposal, you write the things you intend to do. And when you write down this thing you intend to do as a student, you submit it to your supervisor. Your supervisor will go through it and then input his or her ideas that will guide you. Then at the end of the day, you will come and present this proposal as and then do your defense. So let's look at the structure of a research proposal. A research proposal comprises of chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3 of a project. As an intended activity, the communication and the discussion in those chapters are usually written in futuristic. That means you are writing things that you will do. So if you are writing a research proposal, mostly the writing will be, the study will be adapting this, the study will do this, the study will do this. It is futuristic. It includes a reference of all the authors cited in the proposal, and also it also includes appendices and preliminary pages. So these are some of the things we do in a research proposal, and this is where we are coming to the end of this lesson. By our next class, which is lecture 5, I'm going to put us through chapter 1. We are going to take chapter 1 bit by bit, starting from the background of the study down to the scope of the study. We are going to cover the whole of chapter 1, and I believe that if you have been following us truly, definitely at the end of these tutorials, you should be able to write projects by yourself. Thank you for watching.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you will not miss out in the next episode. Thank you for watching, and God bless you. See you in the next class.